Oh, hey guys. Oh, hey Mina. I'm trying to think of a present that I can give to a friend of mine, Amoray, for her upcoming birthday, but I just can't think of something. Okay. She's the biggest fan of Horrorboros that I've ever seen, so maybe I can make something around him? Nah, the only thing that could work for that are either an entire Mega Amiibo, but that would be way too much for her birthday present, and I won't have the time to do that, besides other projects, commissions, and personal stuff. The other idea was to do the Horrorboros statue from Big Run, but I just can't seem to find a model anywhere. So what can we still make? I made a plushie of Horrorboros! Then I have something Horrorboros related, and we haven't done anything like that yet, so I can also make a video about it. So, let's go grab a lot of anti-peeling fleece, and let's get started. Before anything, let's start with the hardest part, so we have that out of the way first. Then the rest will be much easier from there on out. So, with the lime fabric, I'd already made the two sides for the hair of Horrorboros. These are then connected with the middle piece. I was doing this one side at a time until I got to the middle point. There I had to double up the part of the pattern and sew this with the same stitch until I was at the end. This I then repeated on the other side, while taking it very nice and slow, since this was a very difficult piece to make. Especially since you have to keep the two sides aligned, otherwise if you stretch out one more than the other and sew this shut to the middle piece, then the whole thing will be out of whack and it won't be straight anymore. Once I had both undersides done, I could then pin the first two corners for the first side and start to sew this with a new stitch, while I made sure that I also went over where I had sewn with the first stitch to not leave any gaps for the stuffing to escape. And once we're back at the start, we can use that same hole and use these long tongs to pull the piece inside out. For me, it worked easiest to pull each of the three ends of the hair one at a time through the hole, and then once these big pieces were through, I could far easier pull the rest of the hair inside out. Next, I used this light grey fabric to make the fins. For these I'd already sewn both sides of the fins together underneath the machine, leaving only the part that connects back to the body open for the flattest fit. Now I was able to cut out the fabric really close to the line, so I had the least amount of extra fabric on the inside, besides the edge around the body, since I do have to leave some extra fabric for the sewing later on. Then with the main lines cut out, and even the small slits in the fins removed, I was able to turn these inside out. With these flipped, I can then pin them to the rest of the grey parts on the belly with the two halves of the underside of the face and the belly sewn together. But before I could sew these, it was first easier to add the dark green top to the face. This meant that I first had to cut out both sides of the face. Next, I had to cut out these 6 40mm circles for the pads on the side of his face. These I then filled back up with some grey fabrics by pinning them to the edges on the inside. So, all that you'll see on the outside is this smooth transition from the dark green skin to the grey pads. To be honest, mine ended up being pretty flush with the dark grey fabric, so if you want these to stand out a little bit more, I would suggest adding like 1 centimeter, maybe 1.5 to the edge, to make them really pop out of the skin. Anyway, for pinning these, I'd use these clips that I first put on the opposite side of the circle. This then divided the circle into 2, which I could then further divide into 4s, and then into 8s, while I put it through the sewing machine. Or at least, that's what I would have liked to told you, but in the end I did switch them out for pins, so they would not be as bulky underneath the sewing machine. But before any of that, I first wanted to sew the two halves of the face together, so these would not move while I worked on the pads. So now we can officially start on the pads with another round of really tight sewing to get these pads in place. With the pads in place, next I did some hand sewing to get the hair attached to the rest of the body. With the stuffing already added, I next used a ladder stitch to attach it to the head with these little squares that are marked on the pattern sheet that will be included in the Google Drive link below. With the hair done, the next piece that needed to be added were the eyes. For these, I got this nice roll of yellow, for which we only needed this much. Stupid minimal order amount. Hey, at least we now have it in storage, so maybe we can use it for something else. Maybe even a golden egg or something. Seems like I already have a birthday present for the next one. But anyway, with these two sets of ovals, which will be named eyes on the sheet, drawn on the fabric, the first thing to do was to sew one side of the ovals underneath the sewing machine with a little extra on both ends. This way we can use the same technique as with the fins, so we do not have to fight very small loose pieces. Now I can cut out the eyes very close to the sewn edge, while I do keep in mind that I still need some extra fabric around the other edge. With this one, just like the grey pads, get sewn to the face and stuffed, to leave us with this set of bulging eyes. With all of these parts added, it felt safe enough to add the face to the rest of the body, since I do not need to work inside of the face anymore. So I can add the clips to sew the two halves of the face together. Starting just after where the face connects to the rest of the body, I can clip the dark green to the light grey until the noted line on the patterns. Now I can carefully sew the halves together. All that was left is the mouth. So with the two halves sewn together from some dark red fabric, I now have to pin this to the rest of the face with these small 1 by 2 cm white felt squares between the dark gray and the red as the teeth. This way we can immediately sew the red of the mouth to the face and get the teeth set in the right location. You can see this especially well once we turn it all the right way around and we get to remove the pins that held the teeth in place while sewing. I need to turn it around one more time to finally attach those fins that we made so long ago. With the fins and all of the other details done, we finally get to add the end of the tails to the rest of the body. And even sew the main body to the belly. Just not the tail to the belly, so we still have an opening to add some stuffing later on. With most of the body now done, I get to make another set of accessories. For these, I got this light blue fabric on which I traced another set of ovals, which will be marked lights. For these, I first sew them together on one side, I could cut two of these out, fold these open, and attach the flat sides to one another, and while leaving a small gap. To turn them from these small star anise-like shapes around again. And then I can add the stuffing. The same sphere technique is then also used for the bomb that I wanted to add to the inside of Horrorboros' mouth. So with the sewing already done, we can turn this 18mm sphere around again. Actually not an 8cm ball, but a 10cm ball. Or at least so was the plan. But since I had accidentally sewn it on the outside of the markings, combined with the natural stretchiness of the fabric, it's turned into a 15cm ball. Which, once placed on the inside of the mouth, looked more like a variant that was already thrown, instead of one that still needed to be charged. Although maybe someone else likes this one better, so I'll leave the option for both the 8cm and the 12cm ball on the patterns. However, before any ball could be added to the mouth, we still needed a few more things to be added. Stuff like the rubber tire base, that was already made from some black felt and some upholstery foam, which was hand sewn to the bum, after which it gets sewn to the pan, to which I've already been able to add the band that goes around Horrorboros' lower jaw. I just needed to measure how long I needed the band to be before I could cut it to the right size. Pin it to the pan. and sew it on. And so we go from one leather stitch connecting the bomb to the tire, to another to secure the ends of the hair to the top of the face, and even one more to connect the bomb to the pan on the inside of the mouth. With all of this hand stitching done, it should be safe to finally add the stuffing to the main body and finally give Horrorboros a little bit of volume. And with a whole lot of stuffing, I do mean a lot. There were even times where I thought I didn't have enough of the regular stuffing, so I substituted it with some old cheap pillow stuffing. Luckily, I still had some extra stuffing laying around, so I could switch it out again and fill up the final bits to have just enough. So, looking back, I think there might be around 1.5 kilos or 3.5 pounds of stuffing in there. Yeah, that's a big one. And now you can finally see him in all of his glory. I don't know, I still have a feeling something's missing. Oh, right. So let's quickly grab some moss green and grab that final truncated cone pattern for the pants. By sewing the straight edges together and doubling up the rounded edges to prevent fraying, we have a nice base for the pants. And the same moss green is then also used to make the plugs that connect the wires to the grey pads. For these, I'd already doubled up the lower edges, after which I then cut out the circle from the top and pinned the two straight edges together, so I can still have them go underneath the sewing machine. Since once we turn these right side out, I have to sew on a large black string. And now I have to hand sew the moss green circle and the top of the cylinder to the grey pads, while making sure I do sew these at an angle to have them match up with the rest of the strings. Because these are going to face forward, and then these 3 strings per side then get connected to a small piece of black felt that takes the 3 wires on one side and leaves one to go out of the other side into either a red 2 cm wide, 5 cm long felt cylinder on the left side, or a black felt cylinder on the right side, with 2 white squares on top to make for these alligator clips that then get hand sewn to either side of the pan. Speaking of cylinders, by this point you should also have another set of black felt, 2 cm tall, 3 cm wide cylinders ready to go. Now you can add these to the top of the lights that you should have already hand sewn to the sides of the body. So first you get those long tongs again that we also used for the hair to grab some black string through the cylinder. Then with this loop that you just pull through, you can then sew a few stitches through the wire to secure it to the top of the light. After which you then sew the bottom of the cylinder to the lights, and then repeat this for all 6 light bulbs. And between the lights, you let the wire go from the left side of the body to the right side of the body, and vice versa. So that where the lines cross, you can then add some more stitches to hold the crossing in place, to get this nice wire detail over his back. With the lights almost done, I realized that I first needed to add the suspenders to the pants. So for these, I got this 2 cm wide silvery belt, which I'd measured against the thickness of Horrorboros' body to make this circle. To these, I then just needed to add these 2 14 cm long belts that I'd already sewn to the inside of the circle. All that was left was to add the suspender clips to both ends to connect them back to the pants that we made a little while ago. With the belts done, I can now pull this over the body so that I know for certain where the pants are going to go. And because I know that, I also know where I need to sew the ends of the wires. Then I can pull the pants over the tail and add the clips, and also put the wires in their final position. Lastly, all that was left was to add the logo to the bomb up front. I first tried to add this with a fabric marker to the bomb, but not only did this look awful, it even ran after being applied hours ago. So I quickly embroidered the logo on top of the lazy marker, but yeah, this was the best way to go. This looks so much better. But with a little bit of extra work, we've now officially finished Amoray's Horrorboros plushie. So, with the Horrorboros plushie finally done, let's see what Amoray thinks of it.
Kijk maar. Er ook uit. Nee, is goed, ik zit al.
Oké.
Moet het in het Engels of moet het, mag het in het Nederlands? Oké.
Niet echt komt.
Is het zwaar?
Nee.
Het is niet...
Het is een cadeautje.
Ja, maar alles is voor...
Cadeautje van Wesseltje.
Dat hebben we net besproken.
Dit doet me denken aan een surprise.
Ja.
Wel, ja. Ik heb het wel zo ingepakt dat je de doos wel open kan klappen. Dus je hoeft alleen het tape kapot te maken. Daarom dacht ik ook aan een surprise project.
Zo, doet het goed?
Mhm.
Of ja, oké.
Ja.
Dan word ik niet...
Handdoekjes om de verrassing erin te houden.
Ja! Oh, wat tof! Wat leuk!
Oh my god. Oh yo.
Yo!
Wow,
Ja.
God.
that's sick.
Dat is crazy.
Oh my god, he's awesome.
Dat is nuts.
Wat tof! Ja!
Graag gedaan.
Oh, ik dacht nog, misschien had je er een kleine amiibo van gemaakt.
Ik zat eraan te denken, misschien dat ik zo'n standbeeld als die je met Big Run kan krijgen, dan kan doen, maar ik kon het model nergens vinden. Ik dacht, Mega Amiibo is iets te veel werk. Toen dacht ik, dit heb ik nog nooit gedaan. En dat kan ik dan ook voor een video doen. En kijk eens aan, een halve bodypillow.
Ja, precies.
Half?
Voor
Bij jou lijkt het wel
Ik ken hun van een spelletje. En in dat spelletje is een modus dat je op visjes moet jagen. En dit is een van de bazen die je moet verslaan.
Een soort zombie-modus van een kat.
Ja, precies. En dat ding gaat dan rondspringen. En ik vind het ding helemaal fantastisch. Dat ding heet dan Horrorboros. Ik noem het altijd mijn babytje of zo, weet je wel. Dus ik vind het helemaal leuk.
Volgens mij heeft de community heeft hem.
Ja, het is een vis met een broekje.
De vis dat het broekje had. En het mooiste is, het broekje kan er ook nog vanaf. Dus je kunt hem ook andere outfits aandoen. Oh god.
Cut the camera.
Je weet wel dat ik nou voor kerst een ander broekje voor me wil. Een rood broekje met een kerst.
Oh, Amoray, mijn vader die had voor een kerstfeestje een gouden rokje aan. Zal ik die voor je meenemen? Kan je er een mooi gouden broekje van maken?
Oh, zeker. Oh, wat leuk. Dit is echt tof. Ja, ik vind het wel leuk.
Mooi.
Oh, I'm so glad she enjoyed the Horrorboros plushie so much. I know it will have a good home at her play. And she's already misusing it, isn't she?
Mifa!
I'm so sorry, Mifa, but I think I wouldn't even be able to get it away from her anymore. And if you also want to have your own horror baby plushie, then you'll be able to find the patterns in the Google Drive linked below. All the pieces will be ready to be printed on A3 with links to what pieces connect to which and a list of the colors that you'll need. And with that, we can officially call this project done. So, as always, keep those creative gears turning, and we will see you guys in our next video. Oh, Mina, help to remind me that we need to order some more stuffing.